Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to our channel. So our channel is all based around teaching you guys how to make custom freehand routed wood signs. We got lots of videos and we teach you all the way through. So this has to do with kind of finishing and doing some painting stuff. So here's what I got. I got a question from Bonnie and it says, I'm planning to make a white sign with black inset lettering. I haven't been able to find one of your videos where you're making a sign with two colors. If there is one, can you send me the link or a number? Please, Bonnie. So yes, we do have a video where I am doing some painting and there's multiple colors involved. Go watch video 601. We'll put a link to it right up here. I've got black inset letters. And that's kind of what she was talking about. She wanted to do a white sign with black inset letters. Now here's the big trick. If you are going to paint, whether you're painting in here or you're painting on here, you want to finish it first. Now the product that I use for my painting, when I'm painting with a brush, is One Shot. This is an exterior enamel. The great thing about this is you can pre-finish your board and then you can put the enamel, you can put this on top of your finish and it covers really well. All you really need to do is just paint the surface. I'm using a small brush, but you could use a big brush as well. And I'm not too worried about if I get some down in the groove because I have pre-finished this. And see, I got a little bit right there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Q-tip, put a little bit of paint thinner on it, because this is oil based, and I should be able to wipe that right out of there. And the reason that the black is not coming off is because it's already got a finish on it. Not absolutely perfect, but I think you get the idea. So you can kind of be careful with it, but if you do get some down in there. Now, if this was unfinished, and that white went down in there, then you'd have a problem. Then you'd have a real problem. Again, I'm using a small brush, but you could use a big brush. The neat thing about this One Shot is it flows out really well, especially if you're pre-finished. Now, here I want to show you what happens if you put it on bare wood. I've got like 4 coats of finish on this, just clear lacquer out of a spray can. But if you put this stuff on here, it still covers well, but what happens is after it dries, it kind of soaks in and you probably have to go back and put another coat on. But because this already has a finish on it, it sets on top, it dries, it sticks to the finish, and boom, now you've got your white sign with your black inset letters. Another thing to remember when I finish or when I paint is you can see I'm not going right along that edge. What I'm doing is I'm just pulling that paint right to the edge, and it works pretty well that way. But again, because this is pre-finished down in the groove as well, then it makes the cleanup really easy. All right, next question. This one is from Pat. Pat says, I watched your cedar staining video, which was, as usual, well done. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate that. However, how would you suggest staining something with yellow letters or yellow background? So what Pat's talking about is down in the groove. If it's yellow, how would you go about staining your board in that instance? Well, really, Pat, no different than the way I would do it if it's black or white or whatever. So if you go watch video 534, again, we'll put a link to it right up here. I kind of go through this process, but I haven't done it for a while, and I know we got a lot of new people, so I want to go over this for you guys. So what I've done is this has got 4 coats of clear finish on it, and this has been sanded off. Now here's the idea. When you're applying stain, what you need to do is you need to seal up whatever's down in here. Whether it's yellow, whether it's black, whether it's white, whatever it is, you need to seal this up so that when you put your stain on, then what's going to happen is, let me spin this around because I'm right-handed. Then what's going to happen is, even if stain gets down in here, again, it's an easy cleanup. You don't want to put it down in there on purpose, but I'm using just a gunstock stain here. So, you know, I'll just wipe that across, and I'm not too worried if it gets down in that groove. I'm not too worried about it because it number one, it won't show up. But if this was yellow, it would show up a little bit more, but it cleans right up. You can take a Q-tip and you could go in there and clean it right up. So it's just not that difficult to do. I'm not a big proponent of staining, but a lot of people are, and there's a lot of customers that might like this stain. Again, this is gunstock stain, which is, when I do stain, this is one of the ones that I really like. But you see, now, if I tried to do this with this not sealed up, what would happen is this stain would cause that black to streak across the board. And don't ask me how I know that, like 100 times. It definitely does. But once you put a couple coats of spray on there, it seals that up to where that doesn't become the case. So now, let's say, for instance, and I want to add one thing onto this. Make your sign, put your finish on it, that, 2 or 3 coats of clear, then sand it off. I just kind of did it half and half. Sand it off. Now apply your stain. Once that's dry, then put your complete finish on and you're good to go. And then if you want to paint your outset letters, then you can do that as well. Kind of like, many that I've done. So let's say, for instance, you want to, I want to paint, and this will show you how good that this one shot works. Let's say I made that little kitty cat black, but let's say I want it white instead of black. I'll just go in there and put some white in there. I probably won't do this whole thing because of time, but this one shot should cover that just fine. I'm not too worried about getting it on the surface because it should wipe right off. Let's find out. Again, a Q-tip. You don't have to use a Q-tip. You could use just about anything, a paper towel or whatever. Now, again, I've only got a couple coats of finish on this, but you can see, and when you go watch those other videos that I talked about, number 601 and number 534, you'll see I have an actual full finish, like 4 or 5 coats, and then it really cleans up well. But even with a couple coats, it cleans up just fine. So that's a way, again, whether this is yellow, whether it's black, whether it's red, whatever it is, once you seal that up and you get it all, the finish, then you can do pretty much whatever you want, slop that paint in there and just wipe off the surface because the finish is already applied. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. All right, you guys, last question. This one's from Thea. Quick question. When using pine, you have recommended spraying the board with 2 coats of clear prior to painting. Does it matter if you use gloss or matte clear spray? So let me back up a little bit and talk about what Thea is talking about. Whenever I use pine, this is select pine, but whatever kind of pine you use or anything that kind of resembles pine, what happens is when you spray, Ryan, would you hand me a can of the primer? When you spray it with the primer or the black ink like we use, we only use certain kinds, and if you have any questions on that, let me know. But when we spray this with primer, if this isn't sealed up, what happens is it tends to bleed. Now, if you use gloss spray, it doesn't matter how much sealer you put on it, it's gonna bleed. But, so, that's what Thea is talking about. Before you ever spray this on, whether it's layout, because we have a stencil that laid this out, or whether it's something that you've carved and then you're going to spray it black or spray it some other color, definitely you want to seal that board up with at least 2 coats of this clear. When I get my pine to the shop, I automatically seal it up so I know it's sealed up. Now you can use sanding sealer, and I've used that for years and years and years. But if it's just a little tiny piece or something like that, you can use a couple coats of this. It dries in 5 minutes and it works just as well. If you don't do that, once you spray that black on there, it soaks into the grain and bleeds, and it will be almost impossible to sand out, and it will gum up your sanding discs or belts. It just becomes a real pain. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, a lot of experience on that. So what he's asking is use gloss or clear. Doesn't really matter as long as you seal that up, because here's the thing is once you do your carving, that's all going to be sanded off anyway. So let's say, for instance, this was just carved, and then I had already had 2 coats of clear on here. Once I spray it black, down in the groove, then I'm going to sand it all off anyway and then apply my finish later on. So to answer the question directly, doesn't matter if it's gloss or matte or whatever. The main thing is you're sealing up the pine. So that is it, guys. I'm hoping that will help you guys, especially you new people that haven't watched a lot of our videos. We got tons of videos to watch. If you have any questions, please email me, eric@makeawoodsign.com. If you need supplies, and just so you know, in case you're brand new, that's how we are able to keep doing what we do. We sell supplies. We have a website where we sell router bits, layout templates, all kinds of stuff. That's how we're able to fund our business and keep doing this that we've been doing like 10 years. We got over 1,800 videos. We're going to keep making videos. We've got some great projects coming up. So, you know, if you guys need supplies, we would really appreciate it if you go take a look at our website, at least give it a browse. Anyway, guys, we love you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.